Oh, got the moon hiding behind the clouds there. Here's some more poetry. Felt Burgundy Iris, or Moses Cleveland's Canterbury Tales, Book 2, line 300. 'Twas rabbit they ate, and oh, that poor snake. Not a chance what he had against 3. 'Twas 5 that went at him, and oh, was he splattered. Few remains were there of him to see. The shadows grew long, the first day near gone. We best begin setting up camp. It pleases my ire to put these to fire, for we're foiled by darkness and damp. Catania could sense when Viper grew tense, knowing that little would faze him. She whirled with a start as he started to bark, which he did only but on occasion. A shadow drew down, obscuring the ground, not a sound to be heard on the wind. The eagle took flight, ascending to heights where better to gaze with his vision. The serpent let fly a shriek in the sky, all shuddered as life's blood ran cold. Fred dropped to one knee, stifling a scream. Damn, it's not good to be old. Wingtip rending claws, great dragonesque maws, speaking in shriekings and wails. Vehement raptor, wings like a bat, all covered in serpentine scales. Accustomed to fright, Fred summoned his might. Upwards he thrust forth his sword. It fell upon Fred, who stabbed it, quite dead. Its heart by Fred's blade had been gored. Eyes widened in fright, amazed at his plight, the serpent drew back with a screech. What curses he swore for wonder of lore, had he the capacity for speech. Its gnarly old scales would make a fine mail. The beast's wings would make a fine tent. Its poisoned tail spike Claudia really did like. Its venom had yet to be spent. An armorer by trade, her father had made an impression on Amber Mark's daughter. At work in the fields, she hammered out shields to prevent any upcoming slaughter. The night songs called out as they piddled about, while twilight fell over the dale. The day's end drew near, all nestled their gear in neat little bundles and bales. A woman, it seems, came to them in dreams with tales that longed to be told, of wars that were won, of cities long gone, of monsters and dragons and gold, of lives that were lost, of victory's great costs, of peace that was had at great peril, of darkened gales and of piteous wails, of naught fell wrought and for sale. Few have been spurned as Fexoth the worm, ice dragon, fell foe of fine fable. On some ancient day they met on the plain, fell worm had found fire giants able. Victory discerned and mortality learned, met Fexoth with timely demise. In faraway lair Charkerlops was aware that vengeance takes time to devise. For bloodlust could sate, he needed a mate, ensuring a recommenced legacy. Were he to fail, there would be no avail in the form of prodigal destiny. Chained to her clutch by fate one could touch, met Tommy the amethyst dragon, resigned to her fate, ferniferate hate, compounded by time as it lagged on. Ishmeth hatched first, whetting her thirst, consuming the draught of her siblings. Drunk on their souls and eager for more, she made for their means of delivery. Feeling demure, her survival assured, she snacked on the corpse of her mother, saving but one ill-begot son, Erelex, or Ishmeth's foul brother. Fred woke with a start, jostling his heart, to sounds in the darkness before him. Alas, what a night, need not I affright, for hair is fair, need I avoid them? He could not deny it, a strange eerie quiet had blanketed the night round the campsite, disturbed only once by a dervish of dust, as a raven called out as it found flight. Then came the eagle, clutching a weasel in its talons, the spoils of a night hunt. As Fred looked around, he heard not a sound, nary a growl, nor a grunt. The sun rose too soon, the serpent lay hewn, a stench that would hardly could miss. We'll leave it behind to bleach in good time, for a foresight one only could wish. For who can imagine last twilight's fell pageant, or burdens that victories create? For horses I swear such burdens will bear, and many next time will we take. The ground grew less even, still on they proceeded, winding the watery course, tracing its path, and better by half, nearer its tumultuous source. Hemlocks a breeze, an air of unease. amidst mist from the falls of Black River. Peripherals lie in the wink of an eye, yet roots could apparently slither. Slithering root, green lichens to boot, what ethers accosting my senses, thought Catania, who frowned as she motioned, "Get down, for about there be questionable pretenses." Sniffing the wind, sans steps to misspend, she canted her neck for to hearken. Green lichens on bark indeed mimicked or marked a face as its shadows did darken. That instant she knew, as her mind's eye turned true, that the air of a goblin she'd gleaned. With a quick nod to Fred, she gestured instead to a track that led down to the stream. A bark in the trees, a chop in the breeze, arose verbiage in guttural dialect. What figure obscured, too hard to observe, save vestments in general neglect? "Goblins, I reckon. We better be sure, lest we pounce upon some strange beggar." "How many there?" her nostrils aflare, asked Catania, who drew forth her dagger. "Nay, more than 4, yet be still, I implore, as more may be off in the distance. They're traveling too light, and if I am right, some caution may benefit in this instance. Their camp may be close, let's dare not expose ourselves till we have better view. For caution the wind, let's have their foul skins. Besides now, I'm bigger than you. All right now, all right, but find we a plight. Have a drink for me when you get home." Knew better did he to contest a lesson be for Catania, whose recklessness shone. "That foul-filthed wretch from my skinny will catch hell in its blitherous summation. Contemptuous boar will drill him galore with spectacle and renny pervasion. His innards will glitter, his blood. His innards will litter, his blood it will glitter, and sputter and spout all the dell. We'll mince them pell-mell and ring their fell bells, swollen egos and all just as well." For who has got pride, Fred wondered inside, and confidence abounding to laugh? For nigh has got mine, for to ebb in good time, for to wager I must be quite daft. A bluster went she, like a screamin' banshee, alerting the foes of her presence. Too startled to fly, they gazed on doe-eyed, perhaps mesmerized by fluidic effervescence. The peace of the dell blew by as well, churned by tumultuous wake. A sight to behold, she flew through the wold, imbued not for sobriety's sake. The 5th, where I'm told, had freight to unload, or yonder beneath hollow tree. Catania knew not where to he had got, nor that he happened to be. Claudia moved fast as he fingered his pants, his breeches still slung to his knees. With fond serpent's blade she glid through the glade, impaling the wretch with some ease. The eagle did cry as he plucked out one eye, the goblin too shocked to mime utterance. The wolf-sired knew best, having passed his last test, where to best rest his tooth-frothy countenance. For bleed they too quick when jugular is bit, violating vitals keeps victuals far fresher. A twist of the groin and goblin exploined, exclamation of haste and high tenor. How fortunate for Izzard to still have his gizzard, his heart still a beat neath his leather. With fortune bequeathed, he fell to his knees, though blinded, no omnipotent beggar. When faced with the knife, he pled for his life and offered to share in his treasure. He rose with some measure, yet not out of leisure, of business and not out of pleasure. My life which I treasure to this does not measure, holding a thing from his pack. Of riches of yore, of such I abhor, what tattered and leathery scrap. What verse did he sing as he flaunted his thing, with marks to be held as significant? What relevance to bide this tattered old hide, was meaning implied more than figurative. A fish wrap it be, of loins not to see, perhaps, but view closer still. For upon this old scrap there be but a map to an ancient and treacherous hill. Uttered his visage through bloody vile grimace, more so as his socket ran red. A rogue to the end, mux feasance I'd land, and I could have stayed home and in bed. Thought Fred as he listened to the monody of Izzard, a showman, but to pander a dead horse. For to buy would gather was horse far too lathered, or riddled was it with worms yonder course. A song and a dance, but mere happenstance, or had Izzard a genuine item? The meat does taste good, know well and I should, the only good reason to buy them. What sausage I'd wager, but your life's still in danger. If the horse still has kick, I'll consider. Catania do bind him, lest he sprout extra eyes, for worms, I'll bet, fester his withers. Now climb to the top, don't slip on the rocks, the ascent, 'twould be treachery enough. Be foolish you may, but you will die today. We'll camp at the top of the bluff. For gathering wool, a push and a pull, as they climbed up the craggy cliff face. What for wool for to gather? One slip and you'll splatter, slow progress like running in place. Of sheep I do mean, no wool to be seen, of shorn hoof and horn, still none to see? Neither the serpent, dispatched with fell purpose, of the sheep were his innards all too clean. To embark without thought upon quests not quite wrought, indeed what purpose had brought this to be? A flight and a fright, to fly off in the night, lacking evidence to support any theory. Of evil apparent, conjurations with merit, illusions of illusionary guise. Of Robanth I'll wonder to perpetrate this blunder, for he to foolishly waylay the wise. Of Eldamar now dead, was he too misled, removed was he for his wisdom's restraint. In this matter myself I would batter, behooved I be for condolence's sake. The falls in the distance sprayed quite a mist, who spoke through this map in absentia. Beneath all the sludge and dirt was a smudge, and a name, it was Mithralgar Caspensia. A general of yore who yearned to explore, preceded had he us into these heights. History does tell to those who can spell and read such stories of such wonderful sights. According to lore, 3 centuries before the calamity of 533, from Zyzax he came for fortune and fame, and to survey the empire's northern reach. From Reg then north, through the border hills of course, to trade with the lands beyond Black River, to finish the road to the dwarfholds I'm told, so the goods that they brought could be delivered. A treaty in compliance with Sutton held in alliance, they turned to the Anorduith, to Zenepherthel where Orduith dwell, their rightness, might, and their worth for to prove. To Ramadoa he went, where he the king met, quite well in the mountains of the north. From some ancient text he found his next step, the kingdom of the dogmen, of course. Of Jackal Mountain I'm sure to have never learned in all of my life's experience. What was it he sought upon this his last jaunt of epics and lost souls' deliverance?